Hey guys, this is your first video to go over your volume study guide for your test on Friday. So you can use this video in a couple different ways. You can watch it straight through just to make sure you're doing what you need to be doing on each question, or you can skip around and just go to those questions that were giving you trouble on the study guide. All right, so I'm going to start with number one, and this is just going to be for the first page, okay? So let's look at number one. Number one says, find the volume of the figure. And we can see that it shows a figure, a three-dimensional figure with unit cubes in it. But it also goes ahead and it gives me the length, the width, and the height. But I can see too, 1, 2, 3, 4, that there are 4 unit cubes, and that gives me a length of 4. So you can do it either way, by counting or by looking at your measurements. Okay? So the first thing we have to know is we have to know what is the formula for volume. So hopefully you're at your house singing our little chant that we do, right? So we say V-O-L-U-M-E, length times width times height, E-Z, right? So now that we know our formula for volume, we can figure out the volume just by putting in those different measurements. So I see that I have a length of 4, and I have a width of 3, and then I have a height of 5. When I multiply those together, it's going to give me my volume. So now I have to decide in what way do I want to multiply. I can multiply it in any way I want. I can multiply the 4 and the 3 first. I can multiply the 3 and the 5 first. Or I can multiply the 4 and the 5 first. I can do it any way that I want. I always like to work smarter, not harder, so I'm going to try to find that friendly 10 number. And I know that if I multiply 4 times 5, that's going to give me 20. So I'm going to do 4 times 5. To get me 20, and then multiply that times 3. The reason I chose to do this is because I can do the whole thing in my head without having to come over here and do any extra work. So now I have 20 times 3. I'm going to take that 0 away for just a minute. 2 times 3 gives me an answer of 6, and I add that 0 back in. So this tells me that my volume is going to be 60. And I know that my measurements were all in centimeters, so my answer is going to be in centimeters cubed. So this is the answer that I'm going to be looking for, 60 centimeters cubed. And when I look over here, I see that that is an answer choice right here, B. So the answer to number 1 is B, 60 centimeters cubed. Okay? So that one wasn't too bad. Let's go on and look at number 2. Number 2 says, look at the figure below. The rectangular prism has blank layers and blank cubic units in each layer. So this is a 2-part question. So I have to make sure that I can fill in both parts. So here's my suggestion to you. Go ahead, without looking at your answer choices, fill in that sentence, and then go and see if what you said matches what's on your answer choices. Okay? So let's look and see what we've got. The first question, the rectangular prism has blank layers. Okay, well, I know layers is another way to talk about the height of my figure. So when I'm looking, I see here, well, that's 1 layer, and then I see here, that's 2 layers. So this figure has a height of 2, which means that there are 2 layers in this figure. The second question says, and blank cubic units in each layer. When it talks about how many cubic units are in each layer, what it's really talking about is your base. Now, I can't see my base when I look at this figure on the bottom, but I know that whatever my base is, it's the same for each layer. So I can just look here on this top layer and I can count the unit cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I see that this has a base of 8. If I want to double check myself, I know that the area of the base is going to be the length times the width. So I can look at my length, 1, 2, 3, 4. And my width, 1, 2, 4 times 2 is 8. So either way, I'm going to have that answer of 8. So I'm going to be looking for an answer choice that has 2 first and then an 8 second. And I see it right here at B. So I know that that's correct because I solved it before I ever went and looked at the answers. Okay? All right, let's move on to number 3. Now, number 3, we are learning in class tomorrow on Tuesday, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to solve this problem. Okay, so I'm going to zoom it in just a little bit for us. There we go. All right, so number 3 is looking at the volume of a composite figure. A composite figure is an irregular figure. It's when you have two kind of rectangular prisms that we can put together to create this one shape. So you can see here that this is not a three-dimensional rectangular prism because not everything is filled in. So it's a composite figure. So how am I going to find the volume of this figure? Well, lucky for you, they've actually already gone ahead and divided this into two rectangular prisms. So what we have to do is we have to find the volume of this rectangular prism, and then we have to find the volume of this rectangular prism, and we're going to add the volumes together. Okay? So again, I need to remember what is the formula for volume. So I'm going to sing my chant. V-O-L-U-M-E, length times width times height, easy. All right, so I'm going to be looking at this figure first. This one right here. Okay? So I'm going to find the volume of just that figure. So here's what I know. I know that this volume has a length of 2, because I can see that right here. I also know that it has a width of 2. And it has a height of, well, wait a minute. This says 7, but that 7 goes from here all the way down to here. And this isn't part of what I'm looking at. I'm not looking for this shape's volume just yet. I'm only looking for the height from here to here. So that's not 7. So then how do I figure out what its height is? I have to use the other measurements that I'm given. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to look at this shape. And I see over here that this shape's height is 3. Well, if its height is 3 over here, doesn't it make sense that its height is also 3 over here? It does. So I can say that this height is also 3 inches right here. Well, if the whole thing is 7 inches, this piece is 3 inches, then what does this piece have to be here? 7 minus 3, 654. That must mean that this is a 4-inch height, because this shape's height I know is 3. Together, their height is 7, so it only makes sense that the height of the shape I'm looking at must be 4. So I'm going to put a 4 up here. Okay? And then I'm going to solve this out. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So the volume of this first figure is 16 inches cubed. But that's not the volume of my whole composite shape. I still have to look down here at this second shape. So now let's find the volume of this shape. And I'm going to move my arrow so I don't get confused. Let's put my arrow right here. Okay? Again, I'm still going to use length times width times height on this second shape. So the length of my second shape is 7. The width of my second shape is 2. The height of my second shape is 3. The second shape was a lot easier to figure out. It gave me everything I needed. So now all I have to do is I have to multiply. All right, I'm going to go ahead and multiply 2 times 3, and that gives me 6. So now I have 7 times 6, which, knowing my math facts, tells me that the answer to this is 42. So that's 42 inches cubed for my second figure's volume. So now what I need to do is I need to add these two volumes together, because I'm trying to find the composite, or the combined volume. So I've got 16 inches cubed plus 42 inches cubed. 6, 7, 8, 4, 5. That's 58 inches cubed for the composite volume, the total volume. So I'm going to look for my answer over here, and there it is, C. So I know that's got to be correct. All right? We're going to look at this tomorrow. We're going to look at this on Wednesday. So don't stress if it's not 100% clicking just yet, okay? All right, let's move on to number 4. Jan is filling the box shown below with 1 centimeter cubed cubes. She knows the volume of the box is greater than 25 centimeters cubed, but less than 35 centimeters cubed. How many layers of cubes can the box hold? Well, this is an interesting question. This isn't exactly what I've seen in class, but I'm going to use what I know about volume to help me figure this out. All right, again, I'm going to write down my formula for volume.